In the world of international diplomacy, public contradictions are rare, especially when they occur between two of the world's largest democracies. Such moments are often avoided, as they can risk diplomatic fallout or strain long-standing partnerships. Yet, sometimes the need to assert truth and national interest outweighs the comfort of silence. In July 2025, a remarkable event unfolded that would challenge the usual decorum. India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, stood before an American audience and delivered a message that reverberated far beyond the conference hall. Jaishankar directly addressed claims made by U.S. President Donald Trump, who had asserted that he personally brokered a ceasefire in the India-Pakistan conflict, suggesting that his intervention alone prevented a war. With measured words and unwavering composure, Jaishankar dismantled this narrative. He clarified that India's Operation Sindoor was not the result of outside pressure or mediation, but a sovereign and calculated response to persistent terrorism emanating from Pakistan. Trump's claim of single-handedly averting war was, in Jaishankar's view, a misrepresentation of the facts. The Indian minister calmly but firmly refuted the idea that India's security decisions could be swayed by external actors, no matter how influential. He emphasized that Operation Sindoor was a demonstration of India's resolve to protect its citizens and territory, undertaken solely on its own terms. The operation was a clear message to the world. India would not tolerate cross-border terrorism, and its actions were dictated by its own assessment of national security, not by the wishes of foreign leaders. This was more than a simple correction. It was a fundamental refutation of Trump's version of events. Jaishankar's words asserted India's agency and independence in matters of security, making it clear that India was not a passive player, but an active shaper of its destiny. By choosing to make this statement on American soil in a public forum, Jaishankar ensured that his message would resonate not just in Washington and New Delhi, but across the globe. The world was watching, and India's voice was unmistakably clear. His statement marked a significant shift in the dynamics between the U.S. and India. No longer was India content to be seen as a junior partner. Jaishankar's defiance positioned India as an equal, demanding respect and recognition on the world stage. He also drew a clear line between security imperatives and trade negotiations, making it evident that while India valued its economic relationship with the U.S., its national security was not up for negotiation or compromise. This public correction was more than just setting the record straight. It was a signal to the world that India would define its own narrative. It marked a profound shift in U.S.-India relations, one where mutual respect and sovereignty would be the foundation. Jaishankar's words and actions positioned India as a nation that would not be used as a pawn in larger geopolitical games. Instead, India was now asserting itself as a key player, confident and unyielding. By delinking security from other aspects of diplomacy, Jaishankar communicated that India's national security was non-negotiable, a message that would echo in diplomatic circles for years to come. To truly grasp the significance of Jaishankar's statement, it's essential to look beyond the headlines and understand the context in which these words were spoken. His remarks were not made in isolation, but rather in response to a series of dramatic and high-stakes events that unfolded in May 2025. The world watched with bated breath as tensions between India and Pakistan reached a boiling point, dominating global news cycles and sparking widespread concern about the possibility of a full-scale war. The crisis began when intelligence agencies detected a credible threat of a massive assault by Pakistan, prompting immediate alerts and a rapid escalation of military readiness on both sides of the border. On May 9, Pakistan launched a major offensive, pushing forward with tanks and artillery, dramatically escalating the conflict and putting the entire region on edge. In response, India acted with remarkable speed and precision. Operation Sindoor was launched on May 10, showcasing the Indian military's ability to mobilize and strike back decisively within hours. This bold and preemptive strike was not just a show of force. It was a clear message to the world that India would not hesitate to defend its sovereignty, no matter the odds or the adversary. While some international observers credited the United States with brokering a ceasefire, this narrative quickly unraveled when the actual timeline of events was revealed. In reality, it was Pakistan's own military leadership, facing mounting losses and international pressure, that reached out to request a ceasefire, not Washington as some had claimed. This sequence of events highlighted not only India's self-reliance and military preparedness, but also its ability to shape the outcome of the conflict on its own terms. Jaishankar's recounting of these events underscored a crucial point. India did not require a foreign mediator to end a conflict it was already winning through its own strength and strategy. The peace that followed was not the result of American persuasion, but rather a direct consequence of Indian resolve, military capability, and the unity of its people in the face of adversity. Through these actions and statements, New Delhi made it abundantly clear to the world: India's destiny would be determined by its own hand, and its narrative would be one of decisive action and unwavering resolve. The gap between Trump's version of events and the reality described by New Delhi is not just a matter of perspective. It's a fundamental clash of narratives that reveals how differently the two sides view the same incident. While Trump painted a picture of himself as the ultimate dealmaker, swooping in to prevent a major conflict, Indian officials, led by S. Jaishankar, presented a very different set of facts. Trump claimed he used the threat of trade penalties as leverage, suggesting that his intervention was the decisive factor in de-escalating tensions between the two countries. But this narrative not only oversimplifies the situation, it also misrepresents India's motivations and actions during the crisis. Jaishankar, in a series of candid statements, exposed the inconsistencies in Trump's account, laying out the actual sequence of events and making it clear that India acted independently. The suggestion that India would halt a successful military operation simply because of American trade threats is not only implausible, but also underestimates India's resolve and strategic autonomy. This public disagreement exposed a deeper tension in U.S. India relations, highlighting the challenges of balancing partnership with national interests. For Trump, the episode was about projecting himself as the puppet master on the world stage. For India, it was a matter of defending its sovereignty and refusing to let its decisions be dictated by outside pressure. Jaishankar made it clear that India would not allow its history or its actions to be rewritten by anyone, no matter how powerful. The incident laid bare the transactional nature of Trump's foreign policy, where every relationship was seen through the lens of negotiation and leverage. By firmly rejecting any attempt to link security issues with trade deals, Jaishankar asserted India's independent stance on the global stage. This clear distinction between the two approaches was not just about one incident. It set the tone for the future of U.S.-India relations, emphasizing mutual respect and the importance of sovereignty in international affairs. The ceasefire narrative friction occurred amid U.S.-India trade tensions. Trump's America First policy pressured India, especially over Russian oil purchases. Despite U.S. pressure, India maintained its independent stance, prioritizing energy security. Trump imposed steep tariffs on Indian goods, escalating tensions. Washington's message economic partnership is conditional on geopolitical alignment. India pursued a bilateral trade agreement, resisting political pressure. Jaishankar's diplomacy showed India's resilience and commitment to its goals. India negotiates trade but won't let it dictate foreign policy choices. At the heart of Jaishankar's diplomacy is strategic autonomy. This principle is the bedrock of India's global engagement. At the ET World Leaders Forum, Jaishankar articulated this clearly. India engages with both the US-led Quad and BRICS, refusing binary choices. The American pressure to choose is seen as outdated Cold War thinking. India's foreign policy is guided by its own needs, not external pressures. The relationship with Russia provides tangible benefits, not to be abandoned. India's zero tolerance for terrorism is an expression of this autonomy. Operation Sindoor affirmed India's right to self-defense. Jaishankar's correction of Trump's claims was strategic for future negotiations. By establishing a fact-based record, he reset engagement terms. Future discussions must be grounded in reality, not political theater. This act strengthened India's negotiating position for the bilateral trade agreement. American negotiators now understand India's firm stance. Jaishankar's stand sent a message to the international community. It showed that partnership with the U.S. doesn't mean sacrificing sovereignty. This enhances India's credibility as a leader of the global South. The episode fostered a more realistic U.S.-India partnership foundation. Future administrations must approach India as a genuine equal. The events of 2025 mark a new chapter for India globally. Jaishankar's diplomacy signals a departure from cautious diplomacy. This new approach is proactive, challenging falsehoods directly. India demands respect and parity in key relationships. It manages complex partnerships without zero-sum games. India's assertiveness forces allies and adversaries to recalibrate. For the US, it means collaboration between equals, not coercion. For China, it's a reminder of India's strategic resolve. India emerges as a credible, independent pole in a multipolar system. This confident foreign policy is the new normal for India.